1983 and 1986 respectively. He later obtained his PhD from University of Ibadan in 1997. SALAKO joined the services of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, FUNAAB, as a senior lecturer in the Department of Soil Science and Land Management in 2000 and rose through the ranks to become a professor in 2006. Well, as an academic, he has more than 89 publications in learned journals, book, and conference proceedings. He has supervised more than 45 undergraduate projects and more than 25 postgraduate projects, dissertation, ed, thesis. Well, I could go on and on, but because of our time, so welcome to the program, Professor FELIX SALAKO, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, FUNAAB. It's a pleasure to have
you very much
on the show. Okay, Professor, well, from your profile, soil sciences, from BA, your master's program to PhD level, well, I just want to know what drew you to soil sciences?
Well, as I said, let me re-emphasize this. I attended the Apostolic Church Grammar School, Orishigun, in Lagos, around the Ikorodu, or Ketu, around Ketu. So I went to Igbobi College to do lower shift, HSC then. Yeah. And just got admission in 1978 to attend the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And I was placed in the Department of Soil Science. I actually chose agriculture as a course, but I was placed in the Department of Soil Science, and I graduated from there, and I started loving the course. Anyway, I loved the course, so I went back to do my master's there too, because there was a particular lecturer, late Professor Joe Mbagu, who was very good teaching, and who took me as a mentee at the undergraduate level. Because of him, I went back to Nsukka to do my master's again. So you can see the impact of mentors on people. Just because of one lecturer, I had to go back to Nsukka. He was very good. It's late now, but I can tell you that he's one of the people who impacted positively on me to convince me that I should be in the line of soil science. I got my PhD from the University of Ibadan in 1997, Department of Agronomy, but focusing on soil science too. Soil science is about agriculture, it is about environment. My area of research has been in the area of soil erosion and soil conservation. So it's about ensuring that you manage your soil well for high level of productivity, sustainable production. It's also about ensuring that you can manage pollutants in the environment and ensure that you don't get your environment contaminated. So it's both an agricultural science and also an environmental science.
Okay, and I'm looking at now Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, which you're 40, so to speak. Okay, Professor, away from your background now, let's talk about the developments after the 9-month-old strike. Yes, the strike has been called off. Now, resumption, it's on the front burner now, and I can remember that days ago, ASU expressed a concern about resumption amid, COVID-19, second wave of COVID-19. Yes, resumption already, but what have you put in place?
I think what ASU should have done was to ensure that they go chapter by chapter to review what their institutions or particular institutions have done. ASU UNAB should have, or FUNAAB should have come around to ask questions about our readiness before going on air to say that FUNAAB was not ready. Let's pick the issue of fumigation fumigation or continuous fumigation. The Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, on March 1, 2020, called a meeting of top stakeholders to address the issue of COVID-19. The moment we had that, we had the case of COVID in Ogun State, which occurred on February 28th. It was at that meeting that we ordered that our health center should be fumigated first. It was at that meeting that we challenged professors who were at that meeting to think about producing sanitizers. And we are now producing sanitizers. We started producing during the lockdown. It was at that meeting we ordered that buckets, water buckets, soap, and everything should be provided in strategic places. We limited those things to offices that were functional during the lockdown, with the intention that when students return, we were going to add more. But I want to say this too. Even without COVID-19, in February 2020, when our students vacated their hostels, we moved in immediately and fumigated against insects, rodents, and reptiles. Because we did not even anticipate that they wouldn't come back on time. But we wanted to be prepared. And why we did that was that there was this issue of Lassa fever by February 2020. We didn't know COVID-19 pandemic would override that. But the moment the COVID-19 pandemic case became the reality, we had fumigated between March 1, 2020, and today, more than 10 times, all the offices and buildings in FUNAAB. There are particular halls in FUNAAB which are constantly being used by unions for physical meetings. Each time they held their meeting, I would deploy staff there to go and fumigate after the meeting. Well, so the issue of us getting prepared for students to come in is something that we had focused on, even during the strike.
Vice Chancellor, quite detailed, your readiness as regards to that. But I'll still take you back to my question. Now, students are coming back, on campus. I'm saying now, many of them, we don't even know the ones, that have contracted COVID or the ones without COVID. I'm just saying that the possibility of testing.
No, we part of our plans when they come in, we're setting up what we call the COVID-19 Compliance Committee. In fact, by today, the committee will be constituted. What are they to do? To ensure that you comply with non-pharmaceutical guidelines. We are going to have thermometers to test. In what way can you determine whether somebody has COVID-19 or not? I think the simplest thing to do is to do check on the temperature, which is the common thing now. If you have an abnormal temperature that suggests that you should be suspected, we will take you out. But to don't say that we should anticipate that some students are coming with COVID-19, that may as well say that we should lock up the university forever.
Well, Vice Chancellor, I don't know if you agree with me that the best ways to determine if they have COVID or not is to test.
I agree with you, but it's too expensive for the university. What are they doing at airports? They check your temperature. What are they doing at supermarkets? They check your temperature. That's what we're going to do. And don't forget that our primary school, secondary school students are there. And what we do is to check their temperature. If there is a case that we need to isolate, we are going to have an isolation center and then call in the medics to take such a case away. But to go for expensive test, that will be done when we get the patient to hospital.
So, okay, you're saying that the ones with high temperature, for instance, though it could be COVID, it may not be COVID, it could be fever. What will happen? Will you send them back or take them to the health center?
Definitely, they will go for health care. We're going to take care of them in terms of giving them medical care. We are not just going to send a student away. We have a responsibility.
In that instance, which means you have to test them if you discover a student has high temperature, for instance.
Yeah.
Then you have to test them.
The medical doctors will conclude on that. But we definitely have an isolation center now.
So who will be that cost at that point in time?
I think the medical bills of students are covered by some level of insurance.
Including COVID tests, if in any case, if that comes up.
Sickness is sickness. I cannot answer that question now. But the point is that there is a level of insurance for students in terms of medical care.
Okay. Vice Chancellor, let's talk about, yes, you said you're ready. You've talked about the fact that you've fumigated almost everywhere, campus, the classrooms,
continuously,
the hostels, continuously. Now let's talk about teaching, proper. Now that the students are physically present in school, does that mean we're having, classroom teaching, or you're going to couple classroom teaching and digital or online classes?
Students are not physically present now. What we're doing now is virtual teaching. And we are engaging our incoming students, those who just got admission. We have two sets of admissions now, two sets of admission. The first jam, 2019, the second. We are only engaging the students who are coming in with the first jam examination. And we are engaging them online, doing orientation for them, virtually learning. More than 2,500 students are registered, and we started on Monday. We are getting good results. So we are already building experience in terms of virtual teaching. We deploy virtual teaching even for our primary school students during the lockdown. So the students are not physically there.
But resumption.
Hopefully by January 2025. That's the calendar that we have mapped out for resumption.
Full resumption.
Yeah, January 25.
New and old students.
Yes, but we're engaging the incoming fresh students with virtual learning now, for them to get acquainted from realities. The plan that we have is to have hybrid lecture delivery. What does that mean? We are going to teach large classes with virtual teaching delivery. We are going to teach them online because we cannot afford to have about 1,500 students in a hall. But classes that are about 500, 1,000, we have enough. We have a large halls to accommodate. We have a 2,000-seater capacity hall. If I put 1,000 students there will be social distancing. We have a 1,000 capacity hall. If I put 500 students there will be social distancing. Then in terms of lecture delivery, we have purchased what we call smart boards, electronic boards, which you can use to pre-record our lectures and deliver. We are going to ask lecturers to pre-record their lectures about 3 modules ahead of the lecture time. And they must continue to do that. And we are going to deploy those electronic media to deliver to the students.
If they pre-record their lectures, what about when students want to ask questions?
No, definitely there will be opportunities to interact in terms of when we are delivering. Like the ones we are teaching now, they won't send their their questions. You can ask your questions, and the questions can be answered at a later date. When you say pre-record, the lecturer will deliver live. But pre-record for us to be sure that the lecturer is ready. So the delivery of the lecture will be live. What I mean by pre-record is that we need to edit. And when we edit, when we have your lecture, go online and deliver it. So questions can come. There will be interaction between the students and the lecturer. The online facilities that are available, Zoom and all that, they permit you to ask questions. You can type in your question and it will be answered. So it's not when I say pre-record, that is for our purpose in terms of editing and ensuring quality. But the delivery is going to be online and live. So we have our, as I said, we purchased quite a number of equipment that will aid us in achieving that.
So now, what about the students, themselves? Because some of them may not even have a laptop. Some of them may not have a smartphone. So in a situation where maybe they'll be receiving classes online, within the confines of their room, without coming to class.
The Student Union President asked this question, I think 2 days ago, when I had a press conference. And what did I tell you? Number one, the university is not going to purchase smartphone or laptop for anybody. It's not within our purview. But what are we going to do? We can have something like a viewing center, which people do for football. You come to the viewing center and enjoy your lecture. We can create a hall where lectures can be projected for students who think that they cannot purchase. Who think that they cannot purchase.
How many lectures? Because we have several departments. We have
several that would depend on organization. Number one. But this issue of thinking that everybody is so poor, not being able to purchase.
Because we do have
indigent students. But are they the majority?
But we must put everyone, even
that's why I'm saying that we are going to put them into consideration. We are going to have viewing centers. And when you see how many students, you need to visit UNAAB to see how many halls that we have, how many rooms that we have. Those are the things, challenges that will come, and we are going to address as they come. Let us even know the number of students we don't have. I've just told you that more than 2,500 incoming students are registered online and are enjoying virtual learning environment. Now, are you going to tell me that out of about, they may even be up to 3,000. Out of about 3,000 we are going to have, we should not give virtual learning to the majority. Many of them, I saw them, we told them to stay at home and have their training. Then some of them came to campus. They are tired of staying at home. And I saw them with their smartphones. So the issue is, you can as well tell me to go and buy textbook for students because they are indigent. And don't rule out the possibility that there may be kind Nigerians who can endow. So we are going to take care of indigent students by having what we call viewing centers. And we need to take data of such students. In any case, the university has some welfare packages for indigent students, which we don't announce. But it's not definitely about buying laptops or whatever. It may be about helping them with their school fees and all that.
So, though I don't know, I could foresee some constraints. I hope you too, but I just hope
there will definitely be constraints.
It is capable.
No, there are challenges. There will be challenges. There will be constraints.
So, what about internet connectivity? Will the school provide that for them? Maybe.
Of course, we are going to have hotspots. We're going to have hotspots, and we have been having hotspots anyway, where you can connect. Number one. Number two is that it may not be adequate when there's a large crowd. So you should be able to connect with your data. The cost of data these days is not that expensive. No, look, let's face some reality. People must bear certain responsibilities. Universities cannot provide everything for everybody. At a point in time when we were undergraduates, we go to the dining hall and put a small amount of money down and eat. These days, nobody does that. And it has been like that for a long time.
Well, when you were in the university, you enjoyed free education.
I had no free education. I didn't belong to the generation of free education people. I only went to school.
It was subsidized because you went to a federal university.
Look, wait. Let's clarify what free education was all about. It was not that free. It was a program run with taxes of parents. It was free to the extent that the political leader, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was highly responsible to ensure that he deployed the taxes effectively for the benefit of the citizens. There is no free education anywhere in the world. Let's note that. You have money, you have government money, and somebody has been using it effectively, and you think it is free. Somebody paid for it. The cocoa farmers in the 50s and 60s paid for free education with their taxes, but their children benefited from free education. That was what Chief Obafemi Awolowo did. So when you say I enjoy free education, no. But I benefited from free education because my parents were conscious enough to send me to school.
Okay. Well, Vice Chancellor, what we have now, of course, the fees are subsidized. And, there have been complaints about the fact that universities are underfunded. Yes, strike action every time, it has always been anchored as regards to this underfunding, kind of. So how sustainable is this, the fact that the fees are subsidized?
Which the school fees?
After federal universities.
No, the truth is that the tuition students pay is meager. No, not tuition. They don't. The fees or whatever they pay is meager. Just about 20-something thousand naira. They are not subsidized. They are not subsidized, but we manage with whatever they pay. That's one.
But going forward,
we talk about underfunding. To what extent?
Universities in Nigeria, Nigerian universities.
I will need you to come to FUNAAB and see what we have done with tech fund money. Make assessment. We need to be fair on this issue. We need to be fair to the federal government. They pay salaries. They provide money through tech fund. They provide money through needs assessment. They provide money through capital funds. Yes, we can say that when we put it together with the enormity of the needs of the university, it's not enough. But we must not malign the government to the point of saying that they have not been funded or underfunded. Underfunded to what extent?
Well, Vice Chancellor, that has been the position of ASU, for instance.
I'm talking as a vice chancellor, and I know what I see. And I do not want to veer into any argument on this, or to even say that some people are not using their funds well. But come to the university, even between March 1 and today, come and see the number of projects we have completed. It's not my money, it's public fund. And where did it come from? The federal government of Nigeria. If they give me more, I will do more. And I need more. But I'm not going to say that it is so bad that the government should be painted black.
I know how frustrating this could be, this back and forth negotiation with the federal government. The fact every now and then, I could remember 2013, there was a strike that lingered for 6 months. Now we just had one, for 9 months. And this is affecting studies, at that level. But going forward, I'm sure you cannot even beat our chest that in the next 1 year there won't be another strike action. Currently, SANU and NASU, they are also protesting. So where do we go from here, Vice Chancellor?
Last week, Thursday, the Senate of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, decided on the academic calendar. And one of the points I made at the Senate is that we better allow that calendar to stay. Why? Because we might not be able to predict the stability of that calendar, the sustainability. And behold, by Friday by Sunday, we started hearing about non-teaching staff going on a protest for 1 week, and they are on protest now. that means that whatever plan we had has been distorted, even by 1 week now. It's clear for the federal government to work out what they should do with the unions. It's not my own. I'm not going to dabble into that. They negotiate with the federal government takes decision with them. The only thing is that no vice chancellor has the power to stop them from going on strike, especially when it is a national strike. So I think we should be asking the unions the question. We should ask the federal government that question.
Okay, Vice Chancellor, let's move on. Well, labor market still believes that tertiary institutions in Nigeria are producing half-baked graduates. That's the belief.
You see, let's get this right with what many of the employers are expecting. You expect a graduate to have experience, a fresh graduate. It's not right. You should have the kind of training that you should have a plan to train. Again, when we were graduating, we knew accountancy firm that will employ anybody who was new merit. But the first thing they would do is to send you to training on the subject matter. So you expect that a graduate of engineering now to have a lot of experience, just as he was graduating. There may be shortcomings about training facilities in Nigeria, but our youth are not that daft. And I will put my feet down on any FUNAAB graduate. We train them adequately well. And I don't need to boast about that. I do not know who conducted the poll. We are ranked high in terms of employability of our students. So the issue of labor market, again, should be zeroed in on what institution are they talking about. If they are talking about unemployability, what institution are they talking about? We should not generalize. And we should stop this idea of demarketing Nigeria. Everything about Nigeria is not good. No. Have we not seen the worst, the scenario that played out in the USA last week, January 6th? We would have imagined that it would happen in the USA. But it has been happening if you go into history.
Well, you're talking about...
No, I'm talking about this issue of just having the notion that everything produced in Nigeria is not good. I'm a Nigerian, and I will remain a Nigerian. I chose not to leave this country many years ago. I was in the USA in 1982. People thought I would run away. To do what? Is that not the USA we are talking about now? So please, our graduates, when they go even to advanced countries, places like USA, places like Canada, Europe, anywhere in Europe, we've heard about their performances, even those who graduated from Nigeria. You had all their degrees in Nigeria up to PhD. So when they say that Nigerians are not good and all that, they should please specify.
Vice Chancellor, when they go over there, many of them have praised the systems over there. And there have been testimonies saying if they had stayed in Nigeria, the system wouldn't have allowed them.
Yeah, because that is a different issue. It's about the environment. It's not about whether they do not have the intellect. So if you want the certificate of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and the environment is not allowing you to perform, you go to USA and you are performing. It's not about that person. It's about the environment, which all of us must work for to make it improve. We are all responsible. And it's not the university alone. After all, the university is a component of the society.
Well, Vice Chancellor, now let's look at the town and the gown. Of course, the gown, we talk about the citadels of learning, the town, the contemporary society. There seems to be this disparity, disconnects, somewhat, because yes, a university, it's a citadel of learning. It's also more of a research institute, and you would say when there are problems, these problems should be taken to universities for solutions, sort of, because almost every discipline is in the university. Now we talk about University of Agriculture, which is somewhat specialized university. But there have always been these talks that over time, there have been these disconnects between the town and the gown. How do we bridge this?
That statement is not true for our university. The university was established with a tripodal mandate: teach, carry on research, carry on extension. Extension is community development. And our Center for Extension, the primary one, Agricultural Media Resources and Extension Center, was established around 1991 or 1992. Their job had been to deploy knowledge from the university to communities, rural areas.
So how effective has this been?
Wait. In 2009 or so, or 11, no, 2011, the community-based farming scheme of the Federal University of Agriculture took off. The idea is that our students should work in rural areas, and they've been doing that at Odelemo, Odogbolu, Ishagaorile, and Iwoyeketu. The idea is for the students to have a feel of rural areas and also bring back challenges from these places. Having a feel of the rural areas is going to impact on them the need to look for possibilities of developing agriculture in rural areas, even going to establish farms. That is for that. We have our Institute of Food Security and Research, agricultural research. It's basically a research institute that is supposed to evolve solutions for agricultural problems. And just a few years ago, we have our Center of Excellence, center which is focusing on agricultural development, a World Bank-sponsored center. At that center today, we have a world-class laboratory, a central laboratory, which was established, I think, 2020 basically, and we have equipment worth more than 300 million, things that people will go to South Africa, Europe to look for. So we are well endowed with research capacity. How effective have we been? I was director of Agricultural Media Resources and Extension Center. During my tenure at least, I can say this to give an example. We developed plantations for communities around the Odeda local government in collaboration with the Odeda local government. They provided us 3 million naira at that time, and we had farms developed for these communities. We provided fertilizers for them with our expertise. We have our university farms where we sell seedlings of oil palm and some other things to communities. We go to villages to provide for them improved varieties of cassava sticks under different programs. Some of them sponsored programs. So, and we also cultivate our land in such a way that we can even provide, at least minimally, for community people. People come to our campus to buy maize and go and resell. People come to our campus to buy yams, to go and resell. The only thing is that we cannot be a full-fledged production center because that's not our mandate. Our mandate is teach, do research, and do community development. So we are expected to assist the communities in their capacity building, and we are doing that.
But I can't estimate the quantum of dissertations, coming from your university, every year. Undergraduate students will definitely write projects looking at various problems, various gaps, within the society. MA students, PhD, professors too will also come up with certain findings, discoveries and all. But looking at this, how beneficial have all this been to the contemporary society? Do you take these researches, these discoveries in the federal government? Do you think the federal government is making advantage, good advantage of these researches that have come from the universities? Or from your university, basically?
No, I'll talk generally on this. In a country like India, there is a center that harnesses research information. And let me give credit to Nigerian researchers. From time immemorial, particularly in the area of agriculture, our researchers have done fantastic things. But the problem that I see is that nobody is harnessing it, and it should be the work of the government. The Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria was established to do this. I'm not sure they're doing that now. But if you talk about volume of research, volume of publications, look, this country is endowed with human resources. So it's not about people not working, but do we really need what we have? Do we appreciate them? And we are not going to see any impact as long as people believe that anything imported is the best. This country is endowed to the point that it can produce enough food for itself. At least basic ones, the common ones. Are we not producing cassava? Highest producer of cassava all over the world. But there was a point in time people wanted to be importing cassava products from abroad. Can't we produce enough maize? There will be importation. We can't get everything 100%. But there must be enabling environment. The way I've said it with regards to our graduates. So it's not that people are not doing research that can help the system to develop. People are doing research that time, but it's not their duty to not take, oh yeah, government go and use it. During the COVID-19 pandemic, a lecturer in the statistics department, in fact the current HOD, head of department, developed the model for tracking COVID-19 cases. It's well appreciated somewhere in the Royal Society of Statistics. And I introduced him to some government agents, nothing has been done. That is what Hopkins University is doing in USA, giving people projection about what could happen in any state with regards to COVID-19.
But the question is, federal government aware of this, that someone has done a research?
Who is federal government? The presidency? The agency responsible? We introduced him to the agency that needed it.
It may not get to the federal government.
The agency is a federal government.
I know, yes.
Representative. So we should not be talking in fluid terms. Federal government. I'm federal government.
Yeah, but of course, we know the bureaucracy in the system. Doesn't it?
It should not,
and not get to the federal government.
How come that the moment the issue of COVID-19 broke out, Hopkins University, USA, took it upon itself to focus on COVID-19 in terms of modeling and the rest of it. And till today, the government of USA relies on their information. Who is federal government? Nigerians are federal government. So do not lay the blame on the researchers. They are doing their bit. Just recently we heard about a Nigerian being part of the team that developed the vaccine for COVID-19 in USA. Just recently we learned about a Nigerian who graduated from Obafemi Awolowo, who brought an unborn child from the womb and still replaced the child into the mother's womb. Enabling environment. Our researchers are doing their best, and I will tell you in the field of agriculture, there have been many researchers that are well trained for the development of the country. Well, I do not know whether you knew about it. An agricultural engineer at the then University of Ife developed a prototype for pounding yam, a machine for pounding yam. The Chinese took it up and started mass producing that same thing. And if you go to the market now, you see a Chinese machine there for you to pound yam. But to make...
Vice Chancellor, don't you think we also need to blow our trumpets, somewhat? If the federal government won't do anything about it, don't we need to blow our trumpet?
It's not traditional for any academic researcher to make more noise about his work. In fact, it may be unethical. You subject your work to the test of time.
But it does not get out there.
No,
people don't even know.
No, you publish, and somebody somewhere who needs you will pick it up.
Yeah. It's more advantageous for other climes. You talked about the Chinese now. By the time they see this, they make use. How many people even read journals? People believe that journals.
But I told you that we do extension. At least for those we are convinced about, we distribute cassava sticks all over the place. We give people improved, what do you call it? Improved species of animals.
Of course, neighboring communities.
Not neighboring. Our constituency is the whole of Southwest, including
I'm looking at this holistically, because of course, Federal University of Agriculture is a frontline University of Agriculture. So I'm looking at it holistically.
No, if you...
How all this can benefit.
We have our catchment. We have... Why would the nation benefit? I'm talking about our catchment area. You have Federal University of Agriculture, Makodi. You have Federal University of Agriculture, Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike. And we have a new one now, I think in, is it in Kebbi or somewhere, making 4. Everybody has a catchment area to work on. And don't also forget that there are universities with faculties of agriculture, like my university, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and my university, University of Ibadan. So the issue is we work within our catchment area effectively. In our university today, you have what you call FUNAAB Alpha, a breed of chicken developed by Professor Mrs. Adebambo, who is retired. And we are still sustaining that legacy after our retirement. We are still producing, and we are taking those things to the market. But I'll tell you one experience she had that she could not forget. She took her pullets to Bodija Ibadan, only to find out that Indians they have imported some pullets from India, and they were selling at a cheaper rate than ours. The market was bastardized for her. Yet, what she has is better because it's an improvement on local chicken. They are more sustainable in terms of their lifespan. They are very rugged in terms of the environment. They are more meat. And the quality of meat is better. She got to Bodija market to sell the pullet, but when you see something cheaper, you tend to think that you should not waste money on quality. And again, that's what is happening with the Chinese products.
So these are challenges related to research. So going forward, how we also address this to ensure that this does not occur?
Our institutions must be functional. I've talked about Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria. We don't need to create another one. We must make it functional. We talked about institutions that are registering or registering people for patents. They must be functional. We need enforcement. We cannot be saying that we want to develop and we allow any type of good to enter the country, any type. We need to protect our farmers. I know for sure that when you say they are not subsidizing farmers, it's a lie when you go to a country like Israel, even America. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many farmers lost their products in USA, many in Europe. But they are back on track now. One way or the other, in a silent way, insurance would have taken care of some of them. Many of our farmers will be encouraged to plant. Okay, go and grow cassava. We need a lot of cassava products. By the time they grow the cassava, at the end of the day, nobody is buying. If nobody is buying, can't somebody absorb the products and conserve them? Why must all our products get rotten? And this brings us to the issue, one basic issue. And what is that basic issue? Government must be able to provide electricity, because it's going to help us with storage of agricultural products. Government must provide us electricity, because it's going to help us with processing agricultural products to more durable forms.
Preservation now.
Preservation.
It's a huge challenge. You know, okay, let's talk about tomatoes. You know, for instance, you know, it has been preservation of tomatoes has been a huge challenge.
Not just tomato. Any succulent crop, any crop that has all crops have water in them, and they will deteriorate. All crops have water in them.
Has any research come up with a solution as regards this?
Well, I cannot pinpoint a particular one, but I can assure you that in this country, Nigeria, somebody will have done researches on preservation. In fact, we do it even in our food science, whatever. We had a project called Cassava Added Value for Africa. It ran for about 12 years. And it was anchored by researchers in Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. The whole idea is to convert cassava into products that will be sustainable. Cassava flour that could be used in industry and will last longer. Odorless fufu, which we developed in FUNAAB. And of course, gari. So the issue of not having research on any crop in Nigeria, I don't believe that, because agricultural institutions are even they are topmost in terms of agricultural institutes in Nigeria. We have quite a number of research institutes in Nigeria focusing on agriculture, and they focus on commodities. Cocoa Research Institute, the Grain Research Institute, and some other ones like that. Cereals.
Well, Vice Chancellor, this will take us to food security, and you've talked about some of the challenges. Now we also have, of course, climate change. We can no longer predict rainfall these days. You know, we can no longer predict the weather. So how precarious, or what's the level of food security in this nation? How precarious is it?
No, you have mentioned the point. let me just say this. It was so funny that Donald Trump will be telling you that there was no climate change. Yet, bushes were burning all over America. But the reality today is that there's climate change. I mentioned it somewhere. We planned what we call post-COVID-19 hunger mitigation. And we started cropping large expanse of land in FUNAAB. Different centers, directories were doing it. I think we started in May or June. All of a sudden, by August, early August or late July, rain stopped. Rain stopped late July. And we did not get rain back until first week in September. Many of those crops dried on the field, except the ones that we could water, irrigate. So the reality is that it's difficult to predict climate now. But it's also not, I mean, with some, what do you call it, applications, modern technology, you can still predict. The only thing is that, are you really ready for the drastic change you're expecting? I mean, if you have sudden bushfire in advanced countries, in spite of technology, how ready are we in a country like ours? So the point that we need to focus on is that it is a reality. Even now, if you look at the heat.
So where is all this?
No, let me finish. If you look at the heat we're experiencing now, it's unusual. December, January. In fact, for my, what do you call it, citrus in my compound, I've been, since about a month ago, I've been irrigating because they were just going to dry. In February last year, I had the cocoa tree dried up completely. That is virtually burnt down by sun. You can imagine what it is if you have a large plantation. I think irrigation should be developed for the dry season. So in fact, what irrigation should, not just dry season, for the dry spell. What we call dry spell is that during rainfall, you may have a long period of dryness. So irrigation should be developed. And let me mention this. Currently, we are developing about 25-hectare irrigation farm in FUNAAB.
Well, many thanks, Professor. But we're on the home stretch now. But let me come back to you. You know, away from professional difficulties and all. Okay, before you became the Vice Chancellor, of course, you served as Deputy Vice Chancellor. Maybe as we round up the program now. So how easy or how tough, as that seat, been for you?
It's as tough as the hot seat. The program I'm in now, but it is not that hot by virtue of the grace of God. I applied for the job, I would normally tell people. So, and I knew what the job entailed. Having been Deputy Vice Chancellor under 2 Vice Chancellors, Professor Oluwafemi Olaya Balogun and Professor Oyewole. So I knew what it would take to be a Vice Chancellor. The challenges are there, but they have been surmounted. And our gains are there. I think the positive side of the administration is more important to me than the challenges, because God has been taking care of these challenges.
Many thanks, Professor FELIX Kolawole SALAKO, Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. It's been a pleasure having you on hot seats today.
Thank you, Moses.
And best of luck in the resumption. We hope you know the constraints already, and I'm sure that's quite capable, to tackle all these challenges. So while we also hope that at least for some time there won't be any strike action that would impede academic activities, just like this. Okay, so that's our friend on today's program. My guest has been Professor FELIX Kolawole SALAKO, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. So, yes, till next week, when we come your way again with another eminent personality, please stay safe and, of course, do stay out of trouble. Bye for now.
This is to inform the general public that the Ogun State government has observed that some private vehicles are fond of using government and official number plates on their private vehicles. This act is wrong and worrisome. It also contravenes the policy of the Ogun State government on the use of government official number plates. All accounted officers of ministries, departments and agencies are enjoined to furnish the office of the head of service with details of official vehicles